Hello, everybody. Chris Lee and Chase Robinson of Southeastern 16 here to talk about Auburn and Georgia. We've already previewed this game, but this one is going to be a little bit different angle. We want to talk about how Auburn can upset Georgia. And as crazy as that sounds, the way Auburn's played, this is a rivalry game. You've seen some crazy stuff. And oh, by the way, last year, Georgia won this game 27-20. So if we're sitting here on Saturday night talking about how there was an upset or a near miss, there's a decent chance that some of the things we're going to unpack here are things that you saw happen. So, Chase, let's start with your first key to how Auburn can upset Georgia.
Well, I think it's pretty basic, pretty simple. If you've watched Auburn football this year, the first thing I think they need to do if they want to upset Georgia is not turn the ball over. That has been what has plagued Auburn over and over in all three losses this year. It's been because they had turnovers. We saw in the Cal game, 5 turnovers. The Arkansas game, 5 turnovers. Against Oklahoma was much better. There was only one, but that one was a pick six that led to Oklahoma winning. And so that has been something that has been Auburn's problem this year. They're a good football team, and I think people need to understand that, but it's the turnovers that have been the problem. They're good offensively. They have a good defense. But the turnovers has led to the losses. And so if Auburn wants to pull an upset on Georgia, they've got to protect the football and they've got to make good decisions.
Yeah, like even in the Alabama A&M game, which Auburn wins 77-3, 2 turnovers. The game 2 weeks ago against New Mexico, 2 turnovers. The game against Oklahoma, as you mentioned, 1 turnover was a bad one. So, like, there's always been games where turnovers are issues for this team. So, like, at some point, even by dumb luck, they're probably not going to turn it over one game, if nothing else, because turnovers can be a little bit random. And Auburn certainly has not caught any breaks there. So I think, obviously, when you talk about the keys to upsetting Georgia, that's number one.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the second thing for me when it comes to what Auburn can do to upset Georgia is utilize that run game that you have, whether it's Jarquez Hunter or whether it's Peyton Thorne taking the run option of the RPO and trying not to air it out as much, but hold the ball, run the clock down, run the football, get some first downs. I think Auburn has the capability to be a really good running team, and not just Jarquez Hunter, but you got Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Austin as well that you can utilize. But put the ball in the hands of Jarquez Hunter some more, and again, let Peyton Thorne run some. I think that could be an issue for Georgia if Peyton Thorne gets mobile. That's another level that Georgia's going to have to defend and change things up defensively to defend. And so I think that would be huge for Auburn. Not only get the run game involved, but get Peyton Thorne involved running the football.
We have this discussion every week. Why didn't they give Jarquez Hunter the ball more? So that's something, if you're Auburn, you don't want to be talking about that after the Georgia game as regret as to why you didn't win. And Georgia's defense, Chase, has been a little bit more mortal against the run. I mean, this is not the Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter bunch, although Georgia's still super talented, but it's not that team. Georgia's actually given up 4.4 yards per running play, which takes sacks out of it. So this is the team that, according to the stats, and how much can you put into that at this point? I don't know, because some of these games Georgia hasn't been challenged with great offenses, but just something to keep in your back pocket. If this one's close and you wondered why, then I think Auburn running the ball will be a key to that. But before we get into the third key, we remind you, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Let me give you an over-under here. I don't know if they have this at BetOnline. Well, what would you put the over-under on carries for Jarquez Hunter in this game?
I mean, he's 10.
Whoa. I was thinking more like 20 because I just think common sense has got to prevail. But anyway, I don't know if BetOnline has got an over-under on Jarquez Hunter's carries, but maybe it should. Anyway, if you think you know your stuff, get in on our $200,000 mega contest. Pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino. Get in on a game of blackjack or poker. Unwind with one of over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on all the action. Bet online. The game starts here. Chase Robinson, your third key for Auburn if it would like to upset Georgia.
I think they need to keep it close in the first half. This is not one of those games that, and we saw this happen last week with Alabama and Georgia, where Georgia spotted Alabama 28 points, and then they had to claw back. Well, for Auburn's case, I think if they keep it close in the first half, if you go to halftime tied, either up by 3, down by 3, if you're in a close range, I think Auburn has a chance in the second half to not let Georgia pull out ahead any further. So I think keeping it close in the first half is something big, and force Georgia to have to make big plays if it's a close game. And we saw again last week watching Georgia play Alabama, they did hit some big plays, but they also missed some big plays as well. And so you force them in a situation where they're having to make big plays because it's a close game in the second half. I think that can fare well for Auburn. So keep it close. Don't let the big plays happen, and especially limit them in the second half. I think that will definitely help the Tigers as well.
No, this is not breaking new ground here, but Alabama and Auburn kind of hate each other, and I'm sure Auburn fans last week, seeing Alabama do that to Georgia was a little painful to watch. But at the same time, if you're an Auburn fan, you're thinking we got these guys next week. The chances of them coming out flat 2 weeks in a row, you might have liked that a little bit better if you were, if maybe. I guess what I'm trying to say, Kirby Smart is probably going to get their attention. So I think that to me is going to be one of the harder ones to pull off, because I think seeing Georgia flat out of the gate 2 weeks in a row, especially playing at home, I'm not crazy about their chances. But at the same time, Auburn's defense is pretty good. It's a defense that's capable of forcing some turnovers. Carson Beck got picked 3 times last week. So I think that's your hope of starting fast, is maybe to create some turnovers the way that Alabama did in the first half a week ago.
Yeah, that would be huge. I think that would definitely benefit Auburn there. We know it's possible. I think now, I think Georgia can, or Auburn can go back and watch the Georgia tape from last week and say, hey, this is possible for this team to throw interceptions, make mistakes. Let's see how we can exploit that. And I think Auburn has the potential to do that in some different areas.
All right. Thank you for watching this. We'll be wrapping up the game when it's done. Best way to get that, hit the subscribe button. That's free. Enable your notifications. That's also free. That lets you know when we got a video up. We recap games every Saturday night. And we also do basketball and baseball, even in the off season. So best way to get all that, again, subscribe. Hit the like button. That helps our analytics. Caroline.smith at Southeastern14.com if you'd like to advertise. And we do reach millions a year. For Chase Robinson, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching Southeastern 16, presented by Bet Online.